Welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Schmidt. I was trained in Western medicine as a physician assistant, where I was exposed to the dark side of medicine. Through self-education and biohacking, I figured out ways to hack my system, becoming a better version of myself. We'll explore the wisdom and insight of my findings with each episode of the Becoming Superhuman podcast. Hello and welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. We have special guest Dr. Keith Hersey here, who's a licensed pharmacist from Durham, North Carolina, and the owner of Hersey Pharmacy. Now, the interesting thing that I found with Dr. Hersey was that he has a background and a wealth of information and experience in functional medicine. Dr. Hersey, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
Doing pretty well.
So you have an interesting background. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into being a pharmacist and how that intertwines with your background in functional medicine?
Okay, well, I became a pharmacist. Actually, started working in a medical laboratory, hospital laboratory. About 10 years in of working in that, I decided to go back to school, go to pharmacy school in my 30s. So I was one of the oldest members of my class at that time. And because I wanted to do something working more directly with patients than when I was working in the laboratory.
Mhm.
And I wanted to, help patients as well. So I got in, started pharmacy school, finished in 2004. And then for about 14 years worked in a retail chain pharmacy, just worked at different places like Eckerd's, and then became Rite Aid, and then eventually it became Walgreens.
Mhm.
And it was working with that. And then in 2017, 2018, Walgreens decided to close the store. I was a pharmacy manager. Been a pharmacy manager for how long was it? Probably was about 10, 11 years.
Mhm.
And so I had to find something else to do after that.
Right.
So I took a step out on faith, me and my wife, and we decided to start our own pharmacy in Durham, and just with just stepped out on faith and with a lot of prayer, been able to operate the pharmacy here for the last 4 years. One of the things that even before I started pharmacy, I started thinking about it and seeing it even more once I started pharmacy, is that, and I noticed this with myself as well, is that a lot of people, especially with chronic disease, doesn't seem like that most patients that I had were getting like better. As a matter of fact, they were seemed like they were adding medications instead of subtracting them, like over time. And just started thinking about it and looking into it, and like isn't I thought that the purpose for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people that go into pharmacies to help people. And are we necessarily helping people by just increasing the load of medications that they're on? Because with medications come side effects, and also it's cost as well.
Right.
Now a lot of insurances are covering less and less on medications than they used to. So even someone's out-of-pocket expense increases along with their medication list. So,
Mhm.
so what I started doing, I started looking around, started listening to a few podcasts, and kind of stumbled onto like functional medicine.
Mhm.
And so that kind of interests me because that was coming from a totally different perspective, just a perspective that um, a lot of disease states are linked to it's basically chronic inflammation,
Mhm.
and that inflammation can actually be reduced without using medication. They're using a lot of more natural processes, such as having a good nutritional diet, and also movement, and also supplementation.
Hmm.
can, reduce that, and not in all cases, but in a good amount of cases, that a lot of these conditions that they alleviate themselves a lot of times if you give your body a chance to work. And then just reading about just the amazing about the human body, just how so many processes that it can do if it's left to work on its own. So, so I started just sh shifting to that, like trying to work with patients more with usually like with supplements,
Hmm.
and working with patients as far as trying to get them to um, um, encourage like lifestyle changes,
Right.
and that um, through those that working together and working with their primary care provider, that we may can reduce, in some cases eliminate the medications that they're taking.
Right. Now, that kind of sounds counterintuitive when you consider, someone who owns a pharmacy who makes their money, you know, I guess, selling the big pharma drugs to people. So that's really what interested me in you, because you sound different, and you're doing things different, and you actually care about people, which is, that's this amazing thing. And I think it's leading you in these different directions, which I think is amazing. Not a big fan of big pharma, and it surprised me when I saw on your profile that your purpose was to get people to get off of their medication, which that doesn't seem like it's congruent with the business that you're doing. So how does that work for you?
And yeah, so everybody thinks that I'm crazy, that you're a pharmacist and you want people to take less medication, so like you'll be wanting to pile more.
Right.
But again, I mean, I think the purpose is try to get people in their best health possible,
Hmm.
and a lot of times that would mean is- to me, like the least medications that's necessary, because like I said, most medications have, um, some side effect, and like I said, and then of course the increased cost as you pile on the medications as well. One of the big things now, and kind of like my number one thing that I work with, is like with diabetes and type 2 diabetes patients. And
Hmm.
as most people are aware of now, that a lot of the treatments get very expensive. Most people are aware of like the newer drugs, the injectables, like the you see on TV, like the Wegovy's and Mongeros and Ozempics. Then those can be like pretty expensive. And the matter of fact, in North Carolina, the state health insurance has stopped covering them because the cost so much.
Hmm.
So I just try to, like I said, I think a lot of times you'll feel better if you're not on that, because you're not experiencing the side effects.
Hmm.
You'll have more energy. I think your mind will be clearer. I think you'll be able to live a better life. And I think that being a healthcare professional, and you as yourself, ultimately you want your patients to be living their best life. So,
Right.
um, so even though it's counterintuitive in the long range, it's kind of it's getting the patients, setting them up for long term like success and a more enjoyable future.
Hmm. Now, if you're not if you're not making money on selling people the drugs or the medications, then are you also supplying like supplements for alternatives?
Yeah, so that's like a big part of our um business, is using nutritional supplements, and then also providing consults for patients, working with them directly, and working with them one-on-one to help them with their various chronic conditions. And I think that in the long term, that um, pharmacy is slowly moving toward this. The biggest hindrance right now is that most insurance companies don't pay us for doing this,
Hmm.
or very little, no, the reimbursement. So a lot of people don't. It's easier to just put the pills in the bottle and give them out. At least you're guaranteed to get something. But I think like I said, in the long term, once the insurance companies start realizing that this investment is less expensive and you get better results if the people are not taking the costly medicines. Like I said, I always go back to diabetes because that's kind of like the most people that I work with. And just if they're not taking those Ozempic or those type of pills that cost, I mean, those injections, amount supply is usually $1,000 out of, as minimum out of pocket a
Mm.
month. And if they're not taking that and not using that, it saves them money, but they don't really realize that yet.
Right. So is this kind of work like say I come to your pharmacy and I just came from my primary care doctor and I'm diabetic and I have high cholesterol and um, you know, I come in there with these prescriptions and you basically try to show me alternative options for the medications that I have and educate me. Is that how you do things?
Yeah, yeah. So that's usually what that's what usually try to approach the patient from that is that if there was a way possible, um if you don't have to get all these prescriptions filled, what would you like for me to work with you on that, um and some people like, no, just give me the pills, so just do that. And then other people that are usually more advocates for their own health, they kind of take to it more. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to take all this stuff. And I don't know what kind of side effects all this medication have. And if I can avoid it, then I'll do that. So it varies on the people and then what kind of stage where people are. I usually have more successful people that's been on the medications and they're tired of the cost and keeps going up and the medication list getting longer and longer and they're kind of looking for something else to do or some
Right.
kind of alternative.
So that it seems like you would be the enemy perhaps of the doctors that are prescribing medications. I mean, do you get like angry doctors coming after you, like banging on your doors and
Well, I do get like some pushback, usually especially uh more veteran doctors that's used to um doing the same thing in the same way.
mm,
Yeah, I find that like usually like younger doctors, the ones that are not too far out of finishing their residency and stuff like that, they're usually more receptive to it because I think maybe it's talked about more in their training than in previous generations. So
mm,
yeah, so it's like a veins, like I said, and sometimes you have some providers that like you just fill the medication. I wrote that thing. That's what they need to take.
mm,
You need to fill it. And then uh, some people are like, well, I've been trying and we've increased the medication. And I've been working, and this patient's been seeing me for years, and we just add them more medications, and the patient is feeling worse, and it's harder for them to afford it. So if you have something that's you know that can help them and help reduce their medication load, I'm all for it. So
mm.
yeah, it varies on the physician reaction.
Yeah, I've experienced that as well, and it seems like I know when I went to school was in around like 2000, and the the language that they used then was, I mean, it was like they basically program you a certain way as a provider. They program you and tell you the way that they want you to do things, and then you get out into practice, and it's like you're just like a robot, and you do what they tell you. And I find that a lot of doctors are like that. They were programmed a certain way, and then they just never changed. And I think that more the like you were saying, more the newer, the younger people that are coming out of school are, I think they've heard of stuff outside of school, and I think they're educating themselves outside of school because I know the schools don't teach this stuff. And when I was in school, they didn't teach. I didn't learn anything about nutrition. I didn't learn anything about supplements. Not anything at all. So uh, things have got to change, and I'm glad there's people out there like you.
Yeah, and like I said, that when I was in school, wasn't that either. So I've had to do like a lot of education on my own in my own time. So and I'm still doing that. And it's a learning process for me as well. But I think that this is where the people like said if they want to do it now and be kind of in front of it and kind of be on the forefront and try to move patients into less pharmaceuticals solutions to problems because we have it just continuing. I mean, diabetes, is through the roof in this country, as you know.
Hmm.
And then that's like a major thing where it's like almost now they're thinking that these almost half of the people in the country have some kind of whether they may be pre-diabetic or full-blown diabetes.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you maybe talk a little bit more? Because I'm on board with this whole diabetes thing. I've been reading books on this and talking. I know there's books out there that talk about the cure and the reversing of diabetes. I've read quite a few books on it. There's a lot of people talking about it. Can you maybe enlighten us more on the side effects of these new medications, the Wegovy and the Ozempic, and why people should stay away from those?
Like I said that when I was in pharmacy school that a lot of these medications didn't exist or they were just very early in the pipeline as far as drugs. So we didn't really learn that much when I was in school at the time. Most of them were still in like clinical trials and stuff like that.
Right.
The biggest thing is that even though that these medications, like I said, the Ozempics and Wegovy and stuff that so far that we see because they are relatively new, we don't have a lot of long-term studies. We don't know if someone's been on this for 10 years, what the effect is, or 20, because they just haven't been available and haven't been out long enough for it to really study that. But one of the biggest things with this is that it kind of like these drugs kind of trick your body into into like lowering like your blood sugar because it's mimicking hormones that are naturally in your body that move it.
Hmm.
And one of the big things with that is that because most of these hormones work in your stomach and gut area, so that the biggest side effects like diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, those are just like the biggest ones almost most people experience, especially when they start taking it.
Hmm.
And sometimes people it's to be where people can't take it because it's so much in their body. Some people their body gets used to it over time, and those effects get less. But other people that doesn't happen, and then a lot of times you end up having to increase the dose, especially if you're not doing the things in your diet, especially if you're just eating like you were before and taking these drugs, almost guarantee you that you're going to have like a lot of GI issues.
Hmm.
Um, and that's not one of the things that's pointed out, from the doctor or even sadly the pharmacist when people start these medications.
Right. And is that how I've heard of gastroparesis as being a problem? Is that how often does that happen?
I'm not sure of the exact percentage, but that is, that is a problem. Like I said, the biggest problems are all GI related, and mostly because that's where the mechanism of action is for a lot of these products. And then also another thing that people, because they haven't been studied so much, we don't know. Like so far, they've seen like if people, get off of them, if they're not really paying attention to their diet and they're not like incorporating like movement, you know, taking up other healthy habits that sometimes that, the diabetes gets worse once they get off it. So then they have to end up getting back on there and titrating all over again and experiencing the side effects all over again. So what I don't want this to kind of just be like, well, we just have them on this and have them on it, you know, indefinitely,
Right.
not knowing like what a lot of the long-term effects may be with these medications. Um, if I think if someone is like 300 pounds and their blood sugar level, the A1C is 13,
Mhm.
you know, maybe, somebody like that just to get it down into a more reasonable level in a short time, that might be like a short term. But again, I think the long-term issue has to be um, mainly with their diet. And if that doesn't work, then people, I fear that people will be on there for the rest of their lives or some kind of form of it.
Mhm. But isn't that the plan for big pharma?
Yeah, yeah. Well, big pharma, that's the plan, but but I just don't, like I said, I don't. and we don't know that, they're doing studies and things now about what the long-term effect of that, um, what the long-term effect of that is. And like I said, and it just, like I said, a better and long-term solution is, I think like people, the biggest thing is people making shifts and changes into their diet, supplement some of the nutritional deficiencies that you may have, making these changes as well, and then boosting like supplementation of some of the vitamins and minerals that help with, say, like I was just saying with diabetes, help with like controlled blood sugar.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's just a better way to go in the long term. I mean, and then it's a less expensive way to go in the long term as well.
Would it be fair to say that right now is a time period where they're testing on people with these medications?
Yes, yes, yeah. So, like I said, because of the results that they got, when they first were marketing these drugs, like the attention on these drugs were to help with diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. And the side effect was, oh, people experience like weight loss, they experience like decreased appetite, and so they're like, hey, this is a way that we can market it, and we're getting like, where I guess they feel like double bang for their buck, because then we have their diabetes under control, and then they're losing weight. So that's a double winner. And then that we can really sell that to doctors and patients.
Right. This story almost sounds like how Viagra came to be, in that it was a blood pressure medication at first, and then they
Yeah.
realized that guys were getting hard-ons, and they're like, hey, we can make money doing this too.
Yeah. 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 That was, yeah, sort of, yeah, that's what sort of was like that as well. So because now they even going to, they've approved, like got an FDA approval to use it just for weight loss. So that's gonna, increase the people using it even more.
Right. What kind of pushback do you get by, speaking against these things? Do you get any pushback from the pharmaceutical company?
I probably don't, because they might not, they probably, because I don't think my impact is big enough to reach
Okay.
them. So I don't really get, because they're still everybody else is feeling it. So
Right.
so I haven't gotten really much pushback from the pharmaceutical companies. But like I said, most of the thing is like I have, a few doctors that um question what I'm doing. But
Mhm.
most like I say, most of the patients that I work with, they're very receptive, because they are looking for, I mean, some people are looking for a more natural mean. They don't want to take a lot of chemicals.
Mhm.
In this area, we're very fortunate that we have three major universities within a like 20-mile radius. So it's the population here is like extremely, highly educated.
Hmm.
So we probably that helps with that too, so that people are more receptive to like a different paradigm.
Yeah, it's nice. I think that, people like you and me, we need to get our bullhorns and be telling everybody about this stuff, because I think it's very important that people understand that there are alternatives, and this paradigm shift, it needs to happen, or else we're going to continue down the path of, like you said, 50% of the population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and we've been heading down that direction for a long time. So if we don't change soon, we're going to fall off a cliff here, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, because it's unsustainable.
Right. No, so do you have any personal reasons why you're an advocate of getting people off the diabetic medications?
Well, like, and then also I had a presentation yesterday, and I told a group of people that just like, I don't know if you remember the old hair club for men commercials, where the people would say that not only I get this product, I'm a client, and they would take off the toupee or whatever they had on. And so, I'm a client as well. So
Okay.
I've been a type 2 diabetic for like 20 years.
Mhm.
Like I said, it was funny how I was diagnosed, that I went to like a pharmacist conference, and there was like some vendors, how you mill around during the breaks and stuff.
Mhm.
and there was a vendor that had like blood glucose monitors, and so they were testing people. I'm like, come over here and get a test and see how well our machine works or whatever. So I did that, and my reading was through the roof. And
Yeah.
I tried to rationalize it. I tried to say, well, I had a big piece of cake back there, and I had a lunch, and the representative was like, this is more than lunch. It shouldn't be like, if you're a normal person, it wouldn't be this high and stuff. It's
Right.
like, I recommend that as soon as you get back, you need to go see your doctor and get this looked at,
Hmm.
which I did. And so first I was, and I had a family history. My father and my paternal grandmother, they both were diabetic.
Hmm.
Um, so I got, uh, diagnosed with pre-diabetes, and then eventually became like type 2 diabetes. And then I was kind of in denial of it, because I was like, well, I'm a pharmacist and healthcare worker, and I know all the dangers and things of diabetes. I can't believe that I had this, and I just refused to, in my mind, think
Hmm.
that I'm a type 2 diabetic patient. And eventually, like most people, if you don't, really take care of, address it, it gets worse over time. And it got to a point where, I was just adding on medication after medication. And my primary care provider is like, if you don't take care of this, you're not going to be around for your family and stuff,
Hmm.
or you'll lose a limb or go blind or something, something like that is going to happen to you, because you're just going on this downhill path. So um that really was the thing that kind of jolted me at first. So I had to start making some serious lifestyle changes. Um so so that's where I first became like interested, because I didn't want to take all the medications that I had lined up as well.
Hmm.
Um so and then I started looking, also with, at the same time, that's when I started looking at functional medicine and looking at more natural paths of healing, and just learning about how your body can heal itself if you allow it to.
Right.
That's how I got started in this, actually, was through my own journey, and then using it with other patients.
Yeah, that's probably where the passion comes from, right? When it's you, you work your butt off for it.
Yeah, yeah,
Take it
yeah.
seriously. Can you kind of go through real quick, maybe some of the lifestyle changes that you made, and perhaps, supplementation, kind of, help people out that are perhaps pre-diabetic or diabetic?
So yeah, um, the biggest, you know, lifestyle was just um, incorporating more just fruits and vegetables into my diet, less meat, and less, like, definitely less like heavy starches.
Hmm.
Um, you know, not saying like carbs, because carbs can be useful. It just depends on which ones that you take in.
Right.
But so I used that really helped. Also, just using some of the supplements, and like I said, you have to work with your provider, and everybody may be a little different, but some of the things in general, increasing, like, one of the big, like I said, gold star things is like magnesium.
Hmm.
It really does a good job in helping your body regulate, like, your blood sugar, kind of like in my case, the spikes got less. And I know that was also due to some dietary changes as well.
Hmm.
Um, that's one of the biggest things that I recommend to a patient. That's probably like one of my big sellers. Um, and then also just using different things like berberine, just also using like Creole oil
Hmm.
is another one, because of the omega-6, um, that helps with twofold. That helps with cholesterol and diabetes. So that's kind of a double thing,
Right.
um, that I work with patients. So those are probably like the biggest ones that I had offhand. I mean, I think the magnesium, if people are on if they're on statins or trying to reduce statins, like, um, CoQ10 is, works pretty well with that. Um, Also, you just you just want to, with some of the medications that they kind of deplete some of your supplementation. I mean, it's crucial to be on a really good multivitamin, not kind of like the store-bought ones,
Mhm.
because usually, know what the quantity is, not usually what it says, and it's usually full of fillers and things that don't really help you. I think you want to get like a high quality supplements. That's the ones that I try to sell to my patients, not just the standard stuff that you find over the counter and any kind of drugstore or supermarket.
Right. Now, how do you take the magnesium? I know there's a couple different methods.
I just usually I mean I have it's a capsule formulation, so that's what I've used over the last couple of years, and it's worked fine with me. And I know that and then some of the magnesiums have been taken off the market, like the liquid magnesium citrate has been pretty much taken off the market because of just having a lot of recalls and a lot of issues. So, but that's what works for me. But some people like liquid magnesium that they can add it into like a liquid into their um, drinks or smoothies and stuff like that. But yeah, so the main thing is just trying to get the supplementation and make sure that it's a viable source that's not full of add-ons and contaminants and fillers and stuff like that, that you're actually getting what you pay for.
So in your opinion, what do you like the best about pharmacies now?
Um, the thing I've always liked about pharmacy from day one till now is just being able to work with patients, help them try to achieve a better life, more energy, a more fulfilling life. One that's where they have just more energy to be their best self. Uh, with their families and jobs. And so just working with people, and the good thing about being like an independent pharmacist is that, I know all of my patients, and just having that kind of personal relationship. I'm not someone that's rushing to get them out the door because I got, 200 prescriptions to fill
Mhm.
in an 8-hour shift. And, so I pride just being able to have that type of relationship with the patients. That's what I enjoy the most. And that's what I've always enjoyed.
Right. And now I understand, I'm sure that you have some challenges that as an independent pharmacist, and especially doing the things that you're doing. Can you kind of describe some of the issues that you might have?
Well, there's two big issues. One is, of course, like competition with the big guys. Is tough to compete with the big chains because they have, all the advertising budgets. They can, because they get like usually better deals with their products, that they can, cut you on the price, for what you charge. And like I said, and then people are so used to going to that they're just used to going to CVS or Walgreens or Walmart or whatever and stuff like that. It's just hard for them to um, get out of that kind of mindset and give like an independent drugstore like a chance, because they believe some way, even though you're getting the same medications that CVS and all of them are getting, but you're getting the care and the personal service that you don't get in a lot of those places. But a lot of people they're so used to going there, and they just really believe that I might not be able to get my medications like I can at CVS and Walgreens and stuff. So,
Mhm.
and then
I hear
also
people.
the other big thing is just with like with the insurance companies, and everybody's having that problem with the insurance companies now, like the reimbursements for medication. That's another reason why things will have to change, because the reimbursements are getting less and less
Mhm.
um, for everybody. Um, and so that people are not, the margins are getting slimmer and slimmer. So that's why people have to find like, alternative things to try to keep their profit margins. So those are probably like the biggest challenges.
Hmm. So I mean, as an independent business owner, what you're saying is that you need to have other alternative revenue sources, which might not necessarily be the medications, but in your case, perhaps supplements or other products that would be more in line with a healthier lifestyle, perhaps. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. So that's part of the reason, and that's part of the reason I tried to have us like kind of stand out from the big guys that we do offer that, um, and that they have the opportunity to work, as close as they want to. I mean, if they need to work with me, on one-to-one, after hours, if they want to, um, like look at a ebook that I've done, or possibly like sign up for a course that I'm working on right now. Um, so we're trying to do that because, like I said, and yeah, I think everybody's moving this way because, like I said, because of those issues, and those issues are affecting everybody, even the CVS's and Walgreens.
Now, it's almost as if you're kind of like a front runner here, and the change is coming, uh, but it's coming slower, and you're kind of leading the pack. Is that kind of the way you feel at this point?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's kind of hard because there's not a set kind of path to follow. You kind of carving kind of like your own path, and you have a lot of stuff that's trial and error. Some of the things work, and some of the things don't work, and so you have to move forward and try to find what's the best path forward to work and be able to sustain the business, and be able to help their customers at the same time. So yeah, it's really it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge to kind of be out there. But I'm hoping that the industry will come along, and then and I'll be poised at the forefront of it, and that people will take advantage of that. When people are more used to the idea of the pharmacist, not someone that just shove pills to you, that they really are concerned about like your whole healthcare, like I think, just a more holistic approach to a patient. Like I said, like working with like helping you with like the supplementation, helping you with some of the nutritional deficiencies, trying to encourage you like making like the changes in your diet as well. Or encouraging you like with physical activity, kind of treating kind of like the whole patient, not just the immediate thing that we're tackling with the medication.
Hmm. Oh, that's innovative. So how do you see the pharmacy profession going in the next 10 years? How do you see things changing, and where do you see your practice going?
Well, like I said, I think just that just with the economic pressures on all ends, that we're going to be forced to, whether people want to or not, to kind of go this way. Like I said, in the pharmacy perspective, especially with independence, that with the margins getting less and less and being so low, that you're going to have to develop like streams outside of like filling medication prescriptions,
Hmm.
and also that maybe at some point, hopefully that the uh, the insurance companies will realize that it's better to invest in the front end unless it's cheaper, and you get better results investing in the whole patient. And some of them are slowly coming around. We start to see like some insurance companies having like nutritional programs and nutritional consults for their patient, trying to work more on the end of like nutrition, um, not just medication. But it's kind of slow. But that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping for like the pharmacists to do that. That will be the bulk of their work, is working with the patient, working with them to get improve their health, not just with just medication. Medication, if it's, if it's needed and being there, but, trying to see medication more as a short-term uh, solution than a long-term one,
Hmm.
and just working with the whole patient, not just filling, bottles and giving them to patients, and then that's it.
Right. Have you seen the infiltration of like AI to automate processes and perhaps make things more efficient within the pharmacy industry?
Um, I I haven't seen like AI so much yet, but there's like automation is increasing. Most like a lot of chains that fill like several hundred prescriptions a day. Almost most of them now, like with the big people, have some kind of form of automation because they wouldn't be able to fill all those prescriptions because now um, you're kind of having a couple of things that's happening to the profession as well, that more people are opting out of working in like community pharmacy, like the retailing and other areas because of a lot of the stress of the job
Mhm.
and just like the working conditions are getting less because it's harder to it's hard to find people to work like technicians. And then even if you could find somebody, a lot of these corporations, that's where they cut back on is on staffing. Kind of like they want the pharmacists to be able to do everything and not really have any staff to help them. And that just burns people out.
Mhm.
So, the automation is going to probably increase even more. Unfortunately, what some of it is because as the insurance companies continue to shift more into like mail order for like routine medications and chronic medications that people take,
Mhm.
maintenance medications. So, um, that's a way they can get around it and the big guys. So that aspect, I see that more, and I'm sure that AI is going to be involved in that, in a bigger way over time.
Right. I mean, I definitely, think that if AI, infiltrates in there and they're trying to replace perhaps the pharmacist, that, your direction of giving more customized care and, personal care would help keep you relevant, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think, like I said, the profession is moving this way, whether people like it or not, because like I said, because AI and automation is the manual thing of putting the prescription together is going to be, pretty much gone in the next 10 years and maybe even sooner. So that the physical thing of putting the prescription together and putting it in a bottle and either giving it to somebody or mailing it off to somebody, all that is almost going to be totally like automated. So you have to find like a role for the pharmacist since that aspect is probably going away. So I think that just working with patients, I think moving toward a more non medication pharmaceutical end, more in a more wellness whole, um, just treating like someone with just from a wellness aspect and a total person. I think that's kind of where the profession is going to go. And then also a lot of just of the basic because they're anticipating a shortage of doctors, which I'm sure they're staying in the next 20 years because the not as many people for whatever reason like going to medical school as they used to, and then they're going to be a big lot of people that's going to probably be retiring in the next 10 years. So
Mhm.
that's another aspect that pharmacists are trying to work for. Pharmacists in a lot of states are trying to get recognized as providers so that they can be paid, similar to um, reimbursed similar to doctors and nurse practitioners in delivering clinical care. So I think that, just by the way the momentum of the profession is moving, that is moving more to like a clinical end than rather just like the retail community end that we've been accustomed to.
Right. Sounds like some big changes coming to your field. I hope you're preparing and ready for this stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I'm trying to be out in the front so I don't get run over.
Right. So what do you want listeners to take away from this interview today?
What I would like for them to take away is that usually that the healthcare is really important. Like for and the pharmacy end is changing, and you may not see all the changes yet. And I think that people just have to kind of get in their mind that the days as a pharmacist just filling a prescription and handing it to them, um, those days are coming to an end, and just be more accepting whether they're providers or patients, that the pharmacist being a crucial member of the healthcare team, working more in the clinical end, trying to get you to wellness. Some of it may be medication, some of it may not be, but just um, getting used to the idea of the pharmacist moving that way and just being open to that opportunity, whether, like I say, whether you're a provider or a patient, because they're, the people that's out here on the forefront that's trying to move people away from so much being dependent on uh, pharmaceuticals and moving more to a natural, a natural path.
Mhm.
And that's why I hope that people get out of this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's going to be great if people can move towards more of a naturopathic belief and mindset, and I think it is going to make an impact on society in general. So I applaud you for doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Very valuable information. I definitely learned a lot here. Um, did you have any other last things that you wanted to say before we concluded this?
Oh, no, I just want to thank you for inviting me to be on your show. And I just think that, what you're doing, what you're trying to do, like where people using like their own bodies to, master their health. I think that's wonderful.
Yep, I'm pushing hard for it. Well, thank you so much, Keith.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
you. Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world. You must choose to become superhuman." Thank you for listening to this episode of the Becoming Superhuman podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Schmidt. Be sure to follow our social media channels, and we'll see you next time.